Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to improvise using blues scales, just like this. Or like this. Now obviously you can improvise how you like when you play the piano, but using these blues scales gives you the opportunity to really play around with playing fast and also making up things in a more soloistic style. So for this video we're going to concentrate on two different types of scales, and these are the only scales that I just used to improvise there, and that is the major blues scale and the minor blues scale. Okay, so let's get straight into it. We're going to concentrate on C major blues and C minor blues, and this is because C major, the normal C major scale, has all of the white notes like so. So all we have to do is make a variation of those scales in order to make the blues scales. So the first scale is going to be a C, a D, then an E flat, and then an E, and then we're going to miss the F and go to a G, and then an A, and then you back up to C again. And this is the C major blues scale. I'll play that again. So C, D, E flat, E, G, A. And the fingers that I would use for this, just so you get used to good practice, and then when you're playing fast you've got some fingers to go to, is the fingers 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the reason for this is because then you can carry on going up the keyboard. And back down again. And that's it. That's the C major blues scale. So what I would do is I would pair that with a chord in the left hand, just so you can practice going up and down the scale. And the chord that I would use is a C major chord with the 7th as well, because we're working kind of jazz and blues. So this is a good chord to use. So if we play this chord and then play the scale up and down like so. Couple of mistakes in there. Also, you don't need to play this fast, you can play as slow as you like just to get used to the notes. And so on. You don't need to play very fast. So that's the major blues scale. Now the minor blues scale is slightly different because this works around the minor scale. So for this one, it's C, then we miss the D and we play an E flat, then an F, then an F sharp, then a G, then a B flat, and then you're back to C again. So I'll play that again. C, E flat, F, F sharp, G, B flat, and then you're back to C. Now the fingers I would use for this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So you can start again. And with this, in the left hand, if you want to practice this going up and down, if you play a C minor chord, so that's C, E flat and G, and add a B flat on the top to make it a C minor 7, you can play that chord with this scale. Like so. So that's the basics of both of those scales. That is what we're going to use in order to improvise. Now obviously you can stop there and you can play around with it as much as you like to try and find how to play it now that you know the scales. However, there are some ways of helping your improvisation using these scales that I'm going to go through. And the most important way is using patterns. Now once you know this scale very well going up and down, this will get you all over the keyboard wherever you want to be. However, if you have some certain patterns that you go to on the piano when you're improvising, this will become very useful to help give you a little bit of thinking time while your hand just does what it knows how to do. Now these patterns can be as big or as small as you like, and I'll just give you a few examples, but you can make these up. What I would suggest doing is just drilling them in so that your hand can do them automatically and playing it with some chords. So the pattern I will start with is this pattern. Using these grace notes, these sliding notes, is a very good way of making it sound extra jazzy or extra improvised. So this is the pattern, and if I add that with some chords in the left hand, like the C chord, and if I just get really used to that pattern, then I can try and add the scale in between each group and do it at every place on the piano. So I'll show you what I mean. So that's just using that one simple pattern, but then using the complete scale to go from that place in the piano to a different place in the piano. And that already sounds pretty good. If I add another pattern to that, then we're starting to be able to play around with how the scale sounds. So the second pattern that I will use is this one. So if I try that with this chord, get used to that in several different places on the piano, then I can start adding that into the scale. Now you don't have to have any particularly good timing with this, you're just playing around with the notes and seeing what you can get your hand to do. Now if I try and combine those two patterns that I've come up with and see what we can get. Now that already sounds more free, and that's just with two patterns. Imagine if you could come up with 10 different patterns that you know inside out. And you can also then, on the spot, tweak these patterns to how you want them to sound. Change the rhythm of them, or change the order of the notes. And eventually, you'll feel like your hands are being a bit more free than just being stuck to the patterns that you've made. But it's a really good place to start with, is creating patterns. And you can, of course, apply the same logic to the minor blues scale which we used. So if we take a pattern from this, just a reminder of what the scale was this. Which was C, E flat, F, F sharp, G, B flat, and then back to C. So if we take a pattern from here, something like, which is F, F sharp, F, E flat, C. Just a short pattern. If we add that with the chord. If your hands aren't used to playing the piano as much as obviously mine are, then playing F, F sharp, F might be slightly difficult, but once again, that's something that you can just practice in and know that your hand will do it. So if we add that into the scale as well, that gives us a good solid base to start adding more patterns into. So let's come up with another pattern, something like this. So this one is obviously a very simple pattern, it's just two notes. Sliding from the F sharp to the G, and then it drops to the F. And you can do this, you can play more than one note at the same time in this scale and come up with clashy things. And see how you feel that they work. But let's add this one in. So if we play the first pattern and then the second pattern along with the scale, you'll get something like this. You can get something like that, and obviously I can play around with the rhythm a little bit there to try and make it fit so that it feels like it's rhythmically okay. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Now, the second part to the equation when trying to improvise is trying to let your left hand do something rhythmic while your right hand is making things up. And this is quite hard to do. So the way that I would try and do this is take those chords that we've just used and those patterns that we've just used and play regular beats in the left hand so that you can hear how they connect with the scale that you're playing. So if we go back to just playing the C major blues scale and just playing the normal scale up and down without the patterns, but this time in the left hand I'm going to do this. And I'll join in with the other hand. Now, the way that I can work this out is that there is 3 notes in the right hand for every 1 in the left hand. So you get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. something like that. That will help you start getting used to your left hand being constant and doing something while your right hand is essentially making stuff up or trying to get used to the scale. That's all improvisation is, it's just playing scales. So then we can start trying to carefully add some of those patterns in that we've come up with before. So something like this. And obviously, if you feel that you're falling over your hands while doing this, you can slow things down. You don't have to be playing constantly. That's one thing that actually is recommended by a lot of jazz players, is the more time you can put between improvisation sections, let's call them, the better, because you don't want it to sound too busy. So something like this. If you are struggling to keep on top of it, try something like this. Something like that, and you can take as much time as you need. You'll just find the more times you do this, the better you get. So from there, all you have to do is play it lots and lots of times. There's no escape from that, really. And also, when you try and move into different keys, you'll find there'll be different shapes. But a lot of the keys share the same shape. So for example, C, or C major and C minor, and G major and G minor, they feel quite similar under the hand in terms of the patterns that you're going to get. So it's not starting from scratch with every new scale that you learn. If you have any experience with improvisation, then be sure to let me know in the comments. And before you go on to this video, be sure to hit me with a big like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.